Hi, and welcome to Real Talk, The Road to Tomorrow. I'm Ritika.
And I'm Tamogna. And today we're joined with Shahd, a software engineer student at the University of Nebraska, Lincoln.
Shahd, welcome to Real Talk. We're so glad to have you here. Thank you for taking the time to chat with us today.
Course, it's such a pleasure to be here.
What got you first interested in software engineering?
Oh gosh, honestly, I just kind of fell into it. I didn't take my first computer science class until my senior year of high school. Before then, I was always like in the pre-med mindset. I was always like, oh, I'm gonna be a doctor because that's what my parents wanted me to be. I had a lot of doctors in my family, a lot of people like the medical field. But then like I moved schools my senior year of high school and it was a requirement to take like a tech class. So I had like no choice but to take AP Computer Science and I was like, okay, this is gonna be fine, like whatever. And honestly, I ended up enjoying it so much that when I like started college, I just knew my major had to be computer science. That's what I started majoring in, and then I switched over to software engineering a little later. But
Mhm.
it was such like a no-brainer. I took my first coding class in college and that just kind of like set it in stone for me. It was very like informatics based because at the time I was super interested in machine learning and it's very like data heavy. So it was just kind of like a natural path once I kind of was forced to be into it a little bit.
Mhm. Yeah, science and software engineering, and they think that they're the same. Could you walk us through what sets them apart and why you chose software engineering?
Broad like word for everything that's like computer related, programming related. It's very theory based. A lot of the computer science classes I take are literally just like why programming languages are like formatted in certain ways or like the syntax behind them or the choices behind them, or we'll learn about like some of like the hardware and software like interactions. It's a lot of theory and it can be applied in many different ways, including software engineering. So software is kind of like a subsect of computer science, but you can use a computer science degree in a lot of different ways. I chose software engineering because, well, my school like offered that degree specifically, and I was more interested in building things as opposed to like the theory behind things because I wasn't like super into research and that just wasn't going to be like a path for me. So I wanted to get more like honed in on the process of like actually engineering things. So, and that has been a really good choice for me because all of my software specific classes are just us like building like products or thinking about how to make products, very product oriented. And I love working with product.
Mhm.
Okay. Was there a particular moment in high school, like a project or a teacher that inspired you to think like this is what I want to do in the future?
That is a difficult question. Like I said earlier, I just kind of fell into computer science. I do remember my computer science teacher, though. She was very sweet. She also mostly just fell into it. She like, I think she was very new to computer science. She was kind of like learning how to code alongside us, which at the time like was honestly fine. It was nice to kind of learn alongside her and grow together, and she was very incredibly supportive. So I wouldn't exactly say that she like inspired me to continue the path, but she was such a great teacher and I felt so comfortable like learning and making mistakes in front of her because she also was in the process of learning and making mistakes like right with us, which is a really big part of like this degree. Like you have to be comfortable like facing failure and learning from your mistakes over and over and over again.
Yeah, of course. And what's one thing you really wish more people understood about being a STEM major, or like even just about the reality of coding? Like maybe something that's often misunderstood or
Behind it. I mean, obviously you think STEM degree and you're like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of work. It's gonna be so hard. But
Mhm.
it's the degree itself, I feel like isn't like difficult as long as you have the passion for it. I feel like people walk into like engineering or like computer science, they're like, oh my God, I'm gonna make like a lot of money off this degree or something like that. And it's like, okay, Fair, salary is important, but also they really underestimate how important it is to actually enjoy what you're doing. There have been so many moments throughout my degree where I'm like I don't know why I'm doing this. Like this is so hard, this is so difficult. But then I go back to like my personal projects or I think about like my internship and it's just I start realizing that I really do love what I do and that like takes me through it. And I think people just like need to understand that like they have to love what they do in order to like carry out a STEM degree.
Mhm.
Has anything surprised you about your software engineering courses or projects that you know?
They're a lot more time consuming than I thought. I feel like when I like first sit down and think and like start like an engineering project or like a computer science project, in my head it's always so simple. I'm like, okay, first I need to do this, and then I need to code this, and then I need to do that. It's very like sequential, which is how you should generally approach like any problem in computer science. Like you think of the procedure, you think of like the algorithm, and then you just kind of carry it out step by step. But there's always so many unexpected bumps along like every single project I've ever done. I don't think I've ever had a single project go like by 100% smoothly without me having to run into something. But honestly, those like random things you run into are the best like learning experiences. I learned so much about like just random git commands from like accidentally like merging something incorrectly or just like little like errors like that. There aren't necessarily gaps in my understanding, but more just things I had to learn at some point to like help me further like my career as a software engineer.
Mhm. And just for fun, what's your go-to spot on campus to work on code or brainstorm your next big idea?
I love my school's engineering building, honestly. It's very modern looking, and they have this like really nice little like cafe downstairs that makes a really good cookie butter latte. So I usually get that. And then I claim one of the study rooms. They have like a really big screen that I like. Honestly, I don't like use it for anything particular. I just kind of like project like a little like jazz music, like ambiance background. And then I just kind of lock myself in there for like hours at a time while I do my homework. And also really good for like having group studies with like your friends. So we usually just like claim a room there.
Yeah, that's really fun.
Let's rewind for a second. What kinds of things were you involved in during high school, and how were you already exploring tech?
The biggest thing I was involved in high school was DECA. DECA was honestly like my entire life. If you guys aren't familiar, I don't know what your demographic is for this podcast, but DECA is this like entrepreneurial like business organization that teaches you a lot about just how to like think quick on your feet, how to like write business plans and how to do like all these sort of like very like soft business skills. And I wouldn't say like obviously it wasn't like very like tech heavy. It was like more of a business extracurricular, but it really got me into like the thought process of a software engineer because all the competition that I did were like the ones where you had to do role play. You had to like think on your feet very quickly and like you like have a problem, you have like a role play you have to solve and you have to like think, oh, this is who my customer is, this is how I'm going to meet their demand. And it got me very interested in thinking in this like very like solution oriented way, which I feel has helped me a lot through like problems I face now in tech and like my like various like computer science assignments or like even my job. Like I have a problem and I'm like, okay, quick thoughts, here is a solution that I'm gonna try to implement first. And it's just really good way of like learning how to think about things and like talk things out with yourself.
Okay. That sounds really cool. And we do have DECA in our school. And our school had six people going to states this year, I believe,
Oh my
like
goodness.
nationals.
Oh, that's awesome.
What advice would you give your high school self if you could time travel?
Ugh, I for science earlier. If only I had known a lot of being successful in this degree is literally isn't only like having the passion and like the commitment for it, but honestly, the earlier you start, the more you learn. Like I wish I had started like 6 years ago as opposed to like 3 years ago, because I feel like there there were so many like things back then that I would have had so much fun learning, especially like pre-AI, because I feel like I started like getting into computer science like as like Cursor and ChatGPT and Copilot and all these different like programs were like on the rise. And while when you use them correctly, they are very like helpful in like supplementing your education. I wish I like grew up in a world without them and that I like grew up like learning how to code and like learning how to tinker with things by myself without having like those things like so prevalent around me. And I would also tell myself to not spread myself out too thin. I did a little bit of everything in high school. I was kind of all over the place. I was like in HOSA for a time. I was in DECA. I did this like random internship. I did just like things like here and there. And it really like split my focus to so many different places. And I never was able to just like lock in and like focus on one or two like big things. Because I feel like high school is a really good time for not only exploring, which I was doing like a little too much of, but also of like kind of nurturing your skills. And I don't think I was giving myself the time to do that because I was like, oh, I'm gonna try this new thing and this new thing and this new thing. And I just kind of was a little all over the place.
Well, I think it's really cool you did all that before college. You've done things like DECA, clinical research, UI and UX design. What do you think helped you like most in getting into UNL or preparing for college success?
Difficulty. It was my local state college, so it was kind of
Mhm.
like a no-brainer. Tuition was great. I was like, okay, I guess I'll go here. But for preparing for college, I know I just said to not get involved in too much, but I think being in so much and like taking like the course load that I did and doing all these different things prepared me for like the intensity of college. Because once you're in it, you have like so many credit hours that you're taking, and you're also trying to be involved in all these different clubs. And I got really good at being able to like consume, oh, sorry, not consume my time, and manage my time in a really efficient way because I had so much experience with it in high school where I was like involved in so many different things, but I could still find a way to like keep them all straight. And I think that that really helped me prepare for college in like the best way because a lot of it, like you'll learn, is just time management. Your schedule's gonna be all weird when you first get there. Like my freshman year, I had like an 8 a.m. every single day, and my classes ended at like noon, and then I was like just free for the day. But then I took my time with like extracurriculars and I got involved in all these things and I learned how to balance like my academics and my like social life and my extracurricular life. And I think that is something that high school had like really helped me with because I was, yes, all over the place, but that was a skill that I think I like needed to like get into and like lessons I had to learn before I got into college and became like super real.
Yeah, and as like a follow-up to that, what colleges do you apply to in high school and why did you choose UNL?
Like a lot of really random ones, honestly. I didn't have too much of like a goal in mind when it came to colleges. I didn't have like a big dream college. I had applied to Yale because I had interned there, which did not work out, but it's okay. We go to UNL now, and I'm very happy. I applied to, I believe, like UNC, which I did get into. I got into Emory, and then I applied to like shoot, where else? A bunch of like random state colleges from places I used to live. Like I used to live in Texas, so I applied to like UT and A&M. I applied to like LSU. So I was a little like all over the map. I applied to like I think like George Washington and like DC and shoot, this was such a long time ago. Yeah, but honestly very much all over the map because at the time because I started like applying for college like fall semester of my senior year, and that was when I was just getting introduced to computer science. So at the time I was still very split between like a health degree and a computer science degree. So I applied to a lot of schools that I knew were really good in public health, which is what I wanted to do at the time because that was something that my internship gave me a lot of exposure to. So my plan was public health with the pre-med track, but then by the time I started applying to like UNL and like other schools that had like a much later deadline, I was like, wait, I kind of want to do computer science. So I started applying to like those like bigger state schools that I knew were like pretty good at computer science too. So kind
Mhm.
of like a mix of just a lot of different places because I wasn't very like focused and I didn't have like a set goal in mind when it came to like what I wanted my major to be. And I
Tech.
chose UNL because honestly, for being so honest, it was my cheapest option. And that
Mhm.
is something that I will like that I care about so much. Like being able to say I graduated from college debt free, so, so, so important to me. And shoot, I don't remember if this I don't remember whose girls who code cohort this was, but for one of the like 2 week sessions, we had this like college talk with all the students, and the thing that I always emphasize to them, and that me and some other TAs emphasize, is that like affordable college is so, so, so important. And that was a big driving like factor for why I chose UNL over like Emory and UNC.
Mhm.
Mhm. Tech can be an intimidating field, especially early on. Did you ever feel unsure about choosing it, and how did you work through that?
Time, I still feel a little unsure. I literally go into my internship every morning and I'm like, everyone here is so smart. Everyone here is so much smarter than me. But it's like, no. Well, some of them definitely are, but that's not the mindset that you should be like walking into any like sort of like job or like class with. You can't like walk in and say like, oh, I have imposter syndrome and everyone is so much better than me. Because ultimately, I'm still in this stage of life. And honestly, I will always be in a stage of life where I'm still like learning and I'm still gathering information. I'm still trying to be like the most knowledgeable I can. And I think all the most successful people that I have met in tech are the ones that are the most open-minded and the ones that like understand they know they don't have all the answers and there's still more left for them to learn. And that is kind of what's helped me through a lot of like my class and a lot of like my moments of doubt, just knowing that I'm here to learn and I'm never gonna know everything, but as long as I'm trying hard and like genuinely like learning the information, genuinely like taking my time to understand how like certain things work and to understand like how like this interacts with this or like why this broke or like what mistakes to avoid in the future, things like that. Like today we had like a little like chat with like the CTO of my company. And like one of the biggest pieces of advice he told us is to like learn from everyone around you because there's always going to be someone around you who knows more than you do, which
Mhm.
is fine. That's not like a point of insecurity. That's not something you should like feel ashamed of. It's something that you should be honestly pretty excited about because that means there's just more people around you that you can learn from and you can take the time to like understand things from them. And he was like, that was such like a nice like those were such nice words to hear because I always get a little insecure about like how much I actually know. But as long as I'm the one who's willing to learn the most, I think that's like an even better thing to like strive for.
Yeah, and what's one project you've done in college that you're really proud of?
A little silly. I will say one of my favorites was this project that my friends and I did in our class called Human Computer Interaction. It was honestly a very simple concept. The class was very like UX driven, so we just had to do a lot of like research on like user experience and like how to like make a good user interface, stuff like that. Our project definitely wasn't the prettiest, but what we ended up making was this like productivity Chrome extension, and it kind of had like all these settings for like the like Pomodoro timer, just things like that. You can like set how many breaks you wanted and like how long you wanted the study session to be. But the whole like the whole premise of it is that when the timer was running and you were like supposed to be studying, every time you went to a website that you weren't allowed to go to, it would like redirect you back to your homework. Like it was such a silly project, but it was honestly so fun because it was like at that point, it was the first project that we had like built from like scratch. Because everything we'd done at that point has just been a lot of like templates or like here's like some starter code, like go work on it. And just to be able to like brainstorm a solution and like we went from like ideation to like all the way to the end of like actually making something and having like people test it out. And it was just like a really fun and a lot and like a really like big learning experience because we made a lot of mistakes throughout the way. We learned a lot about like what makes like a product intuitive or like what makes a like a user experience like a good user experience. And it was honestly like I learned a lot from that class that I like take with me to like my future classes and like my internship because there was just a lot of like learning how like to make a product good because it's not just about the code that you write being good, it's also about do people like what you make and people use what you make? Like, is this like something like this is a real solution for them?
Yeah, that sounds really fun.
Mm. So I was looking through your LinkedIn page and you wrote that you were the vice chair for the Husker Venture Fund. What is it and is it open to the public?
Oh, still in it. I've been in it since my freshman year. It's basically this group of students on campus where we invest in local Nebraska-based startups. So, like, a startup will come to us and they'll be like, here's my pitch, here's my idea, what do you think? And we either say, like, yeah, we'll do some research on you, we'll like check you out, or sometimes we'll like say no immediately. We're like, this just isn't worth our time. But if we do like them initially, we'll do like due diligence on them for about like 2 to 3 weeks. So we'll like do research about the product, the solution they're offering, like their challenge, like their competitors, like the market space they're in, things like that. And we kind of like that, we come at the end and we're like, okay, we're gonna give them $25,000 or we vote no. And we have to get like a certain like threshold of our members to vote yes. It's not open to the public. You'd have to like do a boot camp to get in because there's a lot of like venture capital things you have to learn before you're able to like actually like sit there and give your opinion on like big checks and like big companies and stuff like that. But yes, I used to be the vice president of communication or vice president. I can't remember if that's a proper term. I think it is. So I literally just kind of like ran the newsletter and like the social medias and things like that to keep our like stakeholders updated on what's happening. I have since left that position because something I learned during college is to like not stretch yourself too thin. And while I do love being involved in the startup world, especially one as like tight knit as Nebraska's, that just wasn't the right like position for me and it wasn't the place where I like felt that I was really growing or like my skill set was needed. And I honestly just don't like managing social medias that much.
Mhm.
That is very interesting. How do you think it has shaped what you think about startups?
Oh my, eye-opening. I I mean, I grew up like just watching like Shark Tank and stuff, so I've always been really interested in like just businesses, but a lot of the businesses that come through Shark Tank, they're not like tech based. They're very like product. They're like, here's something I sell at a grocery store or something like that. So, and a lot of the companies that we get through Venture Fund are very like they're all like software as a service, they're all like SaaS companies. And it's so eye-opening to see all the different ways that people will like use like will bring like code together, will innovate like products and do all this like really cool stuff to like bring a real solution to people. Like we've had so many different companies. Like there was this one called like I believe Grapple, and it was this really cool like data solution for companies who like struggle with like having with hiring like data analysts. So like you give it a prompt and it like makes this like nice graph for you based off like a bunch of information you get it from like all these different websites or like data sources. Or we had like I know of a startup that like came out of Nebraska. I don't think it was before our time we'd invest in it, but like we have like workshop and they have like a decent amount of customers now, but they're very like efficient. Like email service. They're like a very good like business solution for companies who like need easy ways to like send emails or something like that. Those just like the first two that came to mind for some reason. I also even know I thought of first shop. That's so random. But yeah, it's just been really cool seeing all the different ways people like invent things, especially when a lot of my degree has just been like my knowledge isn't like too wide yet, so I don't know how to think in that way of like here's a problem and here's how I'm gonna like bring together all these different like technical things and make like a real solution out of it. And it's been so inspiring to see people like actually do that and like how invested they get into their startup and how passionate they get. It's been so inspiring, honestly, to just like keep me going like through this degree.
Hmm. Yeah, and looking ahead, do you see yourself building software for a specific industry or like a mission, like maybe education, healthcare, or accessibility?
Mm. I don't know what like field exactly I want to work in. Right now, my internship is for like a sports tech company, which I'm honestly not the biggest sports person ever. I just kind of like fell into this internship a little bit, but I have really, really enjoyed my time here so far. I think a place where I've always been a little interested is like fashion. There's this one company that I like follow and I really like enjoy, and it's called like Fia Co. And it's just this like app that you give it like something you want to buy and finds like cheaper alternatives for you that are like more sustainable and like secondhand. And I think concepts like that are just so fun. And I honestly, I just love fashion. I love sustainability. I love thrifting. So something that kind of intersects all these interests would be super, super fun. But as for something I guess a little more like substantial, I don't feel like I have like a niche enough interest in a lot of different things. Because my degree is kind of like a little all over the place. But I will say I would love to work at a company that like aligns with like my hobbies. I think that would just be like such a fun use of my degree.
Hmm. Yeah, and so far we've talked about your journey, your projects, and your goals. But now let's switch things up and we're gonna ask you some fun questions. Um, if you could swap lives with any tech founder for a day, who would it be?
And a co-company, I would love to switch lives with like Phoebe Gates or Sophia Kiani. I don't
Mhm.
know if you guys are familiar with either one of them, but they are just so, so cool. I follow them on social media and I like see their like journeys as like entrepreneurs and just like everything about them. Like their style is so chic. They both come from like really nice families and they like have these like incredible educations. And I just love the product they're building so, so much. Like I love the whole like idea of it. And I love that they get to like work on something that they love and are passionate about every day. Like their job description is what I want to do with my life. So if I could
Mhm.
just be one of them for a day, that would be so awesome. And it'd be such like a cool opportunity to like learn from like how they think and
Mhm.
like all the lessons that they've gone through because there's really no better way to learn about entrepreneurship and like the challenges that come with product development than like actually being in it. And I just love their app so much that I would love to be one of them just so I can learn a little more about it.
Yeah.
What's your favorite app that you use every single day?
Um, Spotify every day. I love love Spotify. It is I know they've been beefing a little bit with Apple Music, especially over the new DJ feature, which I don't know if you've seen Apple's new DJ feature, but it's like actually
Yeah.
incredible. It is so, so, so good and so, so smooth. And I'm personally not like the biggest fan ever of the Spotify DJ, just because I feel like it doesn't mix as well as I would hope it would mix, and the song choices seem a little out there, and they don't seem like very aligned with what I like. But I am just so obsessed with like the curation that I've made for myself on Spotify. I'm so attached to that app. I'm so attached to my playlist. And I just like the process of making like different playlists and like exploring all the little like day lists and things it makes for me. It is such a
Mhm.
fun app and it's a very like I'm sure whoever works at Spotify is getting like a
Mhm.
really good creative outlet from all of the like different like things that they make, like the blends
Mhm.
or like different like themed like surprises here and there. It is just one of my favorites, and I literally don't know how to do without it.
Yeah. And yeah, that brings us to the end of our conversation today. Shad, thank you so much. It's been awesome having you on here.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. It was so fun talking to you.
Mhm.
You too.
Bye, guys.